Welcome back to Gilmore Racing. In the last episode, we got the clutch out of this car. We'd seen it had a failure and we'd organised to have it sent back to Tilton in the States and get it rebuilt. And we'd been promised, swore black and blue, that we'd have the clutch by yesterday. So that was 4 weeks we've waited for this clutch. And our Australian distributor for this company has basically lost it. They can't tell us what's going on, where the clutch is, or even when we should expect it. They promised we'd have it by yesterday, but still nothing. Now this car has got to be on the racetrack in exactly 1 week today, and it's a 3-day drive for us to get there. So do the maths. We don't have a whole lot of time to get this thing back in one piece and sorted before we can stick it in the truck and hit the road. So what do? Well, we walk down the other end of the workshop, and luckily we've got another one of these. And we've restored this in a previous episode, you might have seen it. So it's got the same engine, same gearbox, and luckily for us, it's got the same clutch. So the legend Chris Gilmore has agreed to lend us his clutch to get us back on the track, to get Noah ready for this race meeting. So we need to get the car cover off this thing, split it, get the clutch out, and then we can look at getting this thing together. And we still have a fair bit of work to do, you know. We've still got to sort the suspension, the ride heights, and a lot of final adjustments. All the repaired carbon fibre work's still got to be fitted up and made sure that it's all right and ready to go. So ton of work to do, kids. So let's get this thing dusted off, get it apart, get the clutch out of it, and make some things happen. Had a pretty massive day here at Gilmore Racing. We got the old car split, the clutch out, the clutch back in the 08 car, and it's all back in one piece. So it actually looks like it's almost ready to race. All the carbon fibre repairs have come up really well. Everything's fitted exactly how it should be, and surprisingly everything's gone really smooth. So about all we've got left to do to this is just finish the setup for the track, put some oil in it, and we should be good to go. One of the other things we service is the wheel nuts. Not a really, not something front of mind, but it's something we probably do every 3 or 4 race meetings, as they do have a lot of moving parts in them and they are very lightweight. So that's the wheel nut assembly there. It's got the main nut, a steel washer, and then the aluminium locator which locates into the rim. So the nut itself is just that bit. And as you can see, that one's got X's all over it. It's actually started to pull the thread. Gary's picked up on this while he's been working on it in the pits at the last race meeting. So we're able to replace the center nut assembly around the locators, and these come apart. They get lubricated up and they get put back together, and also thoroughly inspected. Obviously, it's not something you probably think of that much, but it's something that's obviously very important. If the wheel falls off, it ends the race, you know. So it's all part of the maintenance, it's all part of the program, and keeping on top of all the little things that can let you down at the racetrack. As part of splitting the car to get the clutch out, we've had to disconnect the bottom oil lines that go into the feed of the engine oil sump, so we've lost all the engine oil. So I've covered it off in the previous videos, but the dry sump tank is actually in the center of the bell housing, and this is a packaging thing to get everything as small and as neat as possible, and allow the rear of the bodywork to become as small as possible, and then therefore it's an aerodynamic thing as well. So engine oil we use, KCK full synthetic engine oil. Because it's a race car, we don't put standard oil in it. We use a performance oil. We've been using this for many, many years with fantastic results, and we wouldn't use anything else. The Mercedes engine love it, and like I said, we've certainly got an advantage over everybody else by using a quality oil, and it really shows in the wear rates in our engines and a lack of failures. Essentially, it's a race-winning thing. You need the finish to finish first, so we take this sort of stuff really seriously. Now obviously we've had the gearbox apart. Last episode we did the gear ratios. As part of having the gearbox apart, it's a visual inspection, so we kind of know how it's going wear-wise, what we're up to, and we can stay on top of the maintenance. Gearbox oil we use, KCK All Performance Gear Oil. It was basically developed for these gearboxes. These are a transaxle, straight cut dog box, so really harsh in the parts, and they generally make a lot of metal. And with this oil, they make no metal at all. We have to replace a whole lot less often, so reliability is better, they shift a lot better, the gearboxes run cooler and quieter, and really I couldn't imagine using anything else. So because we only have the rear of the gearbox off, it's not a complete fill. They only take about 2 litres in the back section. So we'll fill this up, and then we can get on with chassis setup, get the ride height sorted, and then we're just about ready to put this thing in the truck. All the setup changes we make for the new track have just been finished. So we changed pretty much everything. One of the most critical changes is something I talk a lot about, is ride height. A lot of the downforce these cars produce is from the underside of the car. So running the car at a specific height will change at what speed it becomes efficient under the car, at what speed it becomes inefficient under the car, and also the center of gravity of the vehicle itself. And then on top of that, we can fine tune, we can either complement or compensate for the under trailer car by using the front and rear wings to get the balance exactly where we need it. So all of the changes all add up together to make hopefully the best package on the day. That's obviously what we're aiming for, but everything's critical and everything works together with the other parts of the car to make a complete package. But now this thing's finished, we can get it in the truck, and we can also concentrate on finishing the Megale, which is pretty exciting. We'll have that on track as well. We'll have a quick look at that in a minute. We'll get this thing loaded up. And this is the other car. This is the M07 Formula 3 Megale that was the WLM Motorsport car and has now become part of the Formula Racing Academy. So we've got a driver for this for the Bend, so they'll race side by side with the red car. You know, it's a different way of doing it, but it's still very, very competitive. It's the same engine we run in our cars, but very efficient aerodynamically, so a lot faster in a straight line, but probably a little bit less mid-corner speed than the Delaros. Still really competitive, still really cool, and I can't wait to see this thing back on track. You might have seen it in previous episodes where Chris Purvis had quite a big accident in it. We've since done all the repairs. It's basically been a restoration, a lot of carbon fibre repairs, suspension arms, as well as just about everything else. We're just midway through the setup at the moment. We've got the string lines on doing the wheel alignment. We'll finish off the gear ratios, and then this thing's ready to go in the truck, and then we're out of here. So how do we end up? Well, Noah ended up second overall for the weekend, which is, let's put that into perspective for a minute. He's driven the car, that was his 4th time he's driven the car on a track he's never been to. And the Bend, it's a super cool track, but really, really high commitment. Fast, flowing, with undulations, like it's really cool. But you either click with that track straight away or you don't. So he probably could have done with a bit of testing, a lot more laps to get his head around the track. But he's also trying to understand how the car works, get his head around the aero. So there's a whole lot of information all at once for Noah to take in. And all things considered, mate, he did a really good job. So Team Tappy, we're in a good place. Championship still looking good, we're in the hunt. So eyes forward to Winton. We've got a lot of things to repair on the car. Noah had an off and's ripped a whole lot of the carbon work off under the car. It's actually damaged the tub a little bit, so a lot of work to do there. We've also got to make a few upgrades to make the car a little bit easier for Noah to drive. Especially Winton, you don't get much of a break between corners. It's tight, twisty. It's worlds apart from where we were last weekend. So we're really going to focus on doing what we can to make his job a little bit easier behind the wheel and let him concentrate on what he's got to do, not worrying about everything else going on. Now, we've lost the car. We did have 2 cars in the truck. Second driver was unable to attend. He come down with COVID, so that was really unfortunate. We've carted the car all the way, to the other side of the country for him to pull out last minute. So the car was on display all weekend. Looked really cool sitting in the pits, but we're hoping to have 2 cars back for Winton. Should be a really cool round. But before we get too excited, hey, we need to get this thing out of the truck, get it cleaned up, see what's going on, and see exactly what's been damaged and what needs to be done. So that's for the next episode. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, you need to subscribe. Appreciate you watching, and thanks for following us on this journey. The 2022 Gilmore Racing Formula 3 Championships. We're only in the beginning of the year, so there's heaps more to come, so stay tuned.